Let's dig on some cities of gold, shall we? Pull up the links. Lego. The Coronado expedition. The town of San Miguel de Culiacan in the spring of 1540 was one of the most prosperous in New Spain. Nuno de Guzman had founded the settlement some years before and had placed Melchior Diaz in charge of it. The appointment was a most admirable one. Diaz was not of gentle birth, but he had established his right to a position of considerable power and responsibility by virtue of much natural ability. He was a hard worker and a skillful organizer and leader. He inspired confidence in his companions and followers and always maintained the best of order and of diligence among those who were under his charge. Rarely does one meet with a man whose record for every position and every duty assigned to him shows such uniform and thorough efficiency to hijack the knock. Let's go, man. The settlement increased rapidly in size and in wealth, and when Coronado's force encamped in the surrounding fields, the citizens of the town insisted on entertaining in their own homes all the gentlemen who were with the expedition. Back it up. Who are these citizens, man? We're talking 1500s in America, man. Who are the citizens, man? There ain't no US of A, man. Who are these citizens of these towns that are helping the hijack? I think my Naga see clearly because, they're very clear that we are very fierce and violent towards them. So what other so-called Indians, what other tribes are entertaining Coronado in their own homes? All the gentlemen who were with the expedition. You see, they didn't have a whole lot of provisions. They got help. The granaries of the place were filled with the surplus from the bountiful harvest of 2 preceding years, which sufficed to feed the whole army for 3 or 4 weeks, beside providing supplies sufficient for more than 2 months. When the expedition resumed its march, these comfortable quarters and the abundant entertainment detained the general and his soldiers for some weeks. This was the outpost of Spanish civilization. Outpost of Spanish civilization. Let me just go to 1828. Webster Dictionary. The revamp, that is, the revamp. But I don't know Watah, we still don't trust it. Swarthy, let's see. Okay. Being of dark hue, dusky complexion, tawny. In warm climates, the complexion of men is universally swarthy or black. The Moors, right? It's a Moor war. We talking Esteban as a Moori. Spaniards and Italians are more swarthy than the French, Germans, and especially the English. Who Benjamin Franklin say the French, the Germans, the Spaniards, the Italians, the Scottish, the Irish, all of them are swarthy. All of them are black. Swarthy as a Spaniard. Spaniards. Spaniards. What you got? Spoon War? Nah, I just said Spaniard, man. But it's all right. Just put Spanish. Spanish. Oh, yeah, the language of Spain. All right. I gotta put Spaniard there. Spaniard. Hey, how you spell Spaniard, man? How you spell Spaniard? I can't remember how to spell Spaniard. I don't know, something like that, man. No, not spoon word, man. You just said it. They trying to hide. They trying to hide the swarthiness of the Spaniards, man. Come on, man. I'm saying it like y'all saying it. Spaniard? Spaniard. Oh, I guess Spaniard ain't in your dictionary. No. See, I told you, Aquata, we ain't trusting it. But you already see, man. Swarthy, Spaniards, Italians are more swarthy. So when we digging on Spanish and swarthy Spain, I mean, you could put in swarthy Spaniard. You know what I mean? There used to be a term, they say swarthy as a Spaniard, man, which is crazy. Crazy talk. Swarthy, having a dark complexion. Just trying to see clearly, man, because you're going to hear a lot of Spaniard talk. Swarthy as a Spaniard, we heard that a few times. I wonder what they got for that in Google. Wow. Skin as swarthy as a Spaniard? Wow, that's crazy talk. Oh, this is an old newspaper article? Okay. Man, I'm sure it's in here. It's a lot of words. Sometimes they just drop you off and you gotta find it. I'm gonna leave this link. Oh, there we go. There we go. This is from what? The Spokane Daily Chronicle, June 25th, 1918. We had many types of Germans around us. Our company captain, a huge German Jew, was a most striking personality, with a skin as swarthy as a Spaniard and features like an eagle. His presence was at least commanding. He stood 6 feet 6 inches high. Look, man. At first, I did not pay much attention to him except to note that he was a bit of a Tartar on parade. Well, that's just saying a lot. Skin as swarthy as a Spaniard. Because swarthy has a lot to do with Spaniards and Italians. Because it's more swarthy than French and Germans and English, you know what I'm saying? Black as a swarthy African, or skin as swarthy as a Spaniard. Okay. We just wanted confirmation in 1918 that when we talk swarthy, swarthy, we're talking Spaniard, man, from the Spokane Daily Chronicle. Let's back it up. Who were these citizens of the town insisting on entertaining in their homes all of these Spaniards? Spain, Columbus is from Spain, right? I mean, there's a lot of Spaniards in the building. We got Coronado, we got Mendoza. This was an outpost of Spanish civilization. And Coronado made sure that his arrangements were as complete as possible, both for the army and for the administration of New Galicia during his absence. Where is New Galicia? Google, help us out, man. Oh, damn. I didn't know. New Galicia is a planet or system, which was originally one of the autonomous worlds within the Free Worlds League. All right. I mean, y'all want to get back into Marvel? We got some Marvel drop top battle. Been dropping on these Tyanians. Ty dropping on the Tyanians. We got to dig on that next time, man. Hey, Blue Marvel, y'all want to keep this going a little bit with this Blue Marvel? And, all right, man, we got a lot to uncover with the Blue Marvel, but we just talking New Galatia, and they just dropped us off right here, in fandom, in the fandom. New Galicia. Let's do it this way. Let's take out this A. Yeah, there we go. New Galicia. Where's New Galicia? The Kingdom of New Galicia. So they just changed it. They just changed it in fandom to Galatia, right? And now you're in some planet, or some system, was autonomous, within the Free Worlds League. Hold up, man. I just gotta look at this for fandom's sake. I gotta look at this, man. See, now they don't put that A right there. They got the I, right? So they're still talking Galicia. Now they put the A. Galatia. Here they have Galicia with an I. Okay, I'm just saying. Galicia with an I. Okay, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Located close to the rim commonality. New Galicia is between Kendall and Hinsford and vanished from maps during the third successive war. Okay. All right, let me get out of here before I go crazy. Just know that they made everything a myth. They made everything a myth. Let's get back into Galicia. It's a micronation inside the Mexican Republic. So, whereas you got like New Spain, that's still Mexico, Mexicans are kicking it, all swarthy nagas. And inside of that micronation is New Galicia. I mean, where's Old Galicia? How about that? Where's Old Galicia? Okay. They say Poland or the Ukraine. There is a region of northwest Spain called Galicia. So an old Spain over there, or I would call that New Spain, and this is Old Spain. All right, so they got a Spain, they got a Galicia right there. There's also a region in western Ukraine, southern Poland, so pretty much Russia, you know what I mean? Old Russia. Okay, all right. Hey, will the real Galicia please stand up, man? I'ma say the real Galicia's right here in Mexico. Let's go back. You're getting some drop. So both for his army and for the administration of New Galicia during his absence. Now we know a little bit more, right? Let's go. The soldiers, and especially the gentlemen among them, had started from Compostela with an abundant supply of luxurious furnishings and extra equipment. Many of them were receiving their first rough lessons in the art of campaigning and the experiences along the way before reaching Culiacan. Culiacan had already changed many of their notions of comfort and ease. When the preparations for leaving Culiacan began, the citizens of the town received them, or received from them, or from their guests, much of the clothing and other surplus baggage which was left behind in order that the expedition might advance more rapidly, or that the animals might be loaded with provision. Aside from what was given to the people of the place, much of the heavier camp equipage with some of the superfluous property of the soldiers was put on board a ship, the San Gabriel, which was waiting in the harbor of Culiacan. The ship San Gabriel. Remember the angel Gabriel, right? And even in the Quran flow, right? This is the angel that's supposed to have visited Muhammad. I'm just going to put that to the side. It's a more war. We're talking Esteban the Moor. Let's go. Which was waiting in the harbor of Culiacan. Not Culiacan, not American, Culiacan. An additional supply of corn and other provisions was also furnished for the vessel by the generous citizens. Who are these citizens, man? This is driving me crazy. I mean, who do y'all think these citizens are? A sea expedition was, or to cooperate with the land force, was a part of Mendoza's original plan after the Viceroy left Coronado, and probably while he was in Colima on his way down the coast from Compostela. He completed the arrangements by appointing Hernando de Alarcon, his chamberlain, according to Bernal Diaz, to command a fleet of 2 vessels. Alarcon was instructed to sail northward, following the coast as close as possible. He was to keep near the army and communicate with it at every opportunity, transporting the heavy baggage and holding himself ready at all times to render any assistance which Coronado might deserve. Coronado Alarcon sailed May 9th, 1540, probably from Acapulco. So Mendoza had an original plan. So when we get some drop, we're going to watch an episode of Cities of Gold. My niggas like Marvel comics. We like cartoons. We've earned it. We've been doing this for about 7 years, my nigga. We've earned it. We put, in the energy, the time, the recon to earn our way to kick back and watch some cartoons in the fifth wave. Mendoza is all over the place. All right, he's a grown-ass man. Esteban himself is a grown-ass man, and they have an original plan. And if you want more of this Coronado flow, man, just, surf the wave with the Nagas, man. I'll make sure, the schedule is up and updated always for you, my Naga, at 432thedrop.com. And, you see us, man, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're always popping off here at the drop, and you got the schedule. You can dig on it. It's just beautiful, man, to surf the wave with the Ether Squad on a daily basis. We do Coronado expedition readings, which some of my Nagas already got some of this, man. So if you in the Ether, you already know what's up. You know what I'm saying? Coronado expedition, 10 o'clock p.m. on Sundays, right after Survival Drop, 101 Con Drop, Paleo Hebrew Drop, Finance Hour, man. That's just on a Sunday. Monday, we got, farming and building, man, at 6. My Jigga Thinking Out Loud at 7. Yosef's Tokef Banak at 8. American Holocaust at 9. Prester John Hour at 10. Tuesday, we got Copper Color Creation coming in hot at 7, right after the Drop Artist Hour. Then Natural by Law at 8 o'clock Pacific. Forbidden Histories at 9. Kalelus at 10. Drop strings popping off, 432 Hertz Music at 11, man. We out of here, man. Wednesday, we got the Drop Producer Hour. Shout out to the producers at 6. Judah the Great Jedi is popping off. Some martial arts techniques at 7, man. Keeping us, all the way ready in battle time. With time battle at 8. Flat Drop 101 at 9. We on that flat drop, man. Templar Ups coming in hot at 10 o'clock Pacific, and Draconology at 11 o'clock Pacific time. That's how we do it on a Wednesday. Thursday, we got the Zion Jazz Hour at 6. We got Conclave popping off from Joy World, dropping some great health, wellness, man, and boxing techniques. So we got all kind of martial arts popping off with the cons. Brother Nature with that living whale coming in at 8. Chef Condi was on cooking, man. Oh, she's chefing it up, coming in at 9. 10 o'clock, we got CJ Battle, Ether Sessions, 10 o'clock Pacific. And we live with Turf Thurs featuring drop artists and producers at 11 o'clock. 6 o'clock on a Friday, we got Zion Meditation. We got to meditate, my nigga. We got to vibrate. And 7 o'clock Thai Battle Poetry Hour, my favorite time. You already know we getting ready for that flow, that Shabbat flow. 9 o'clock, man. My bro 9 Spiral is in the building, man. He's lifting his way up. 9 Spirals, Forbidden Scripts, Forbidden Scriptures. 9 o'clock, we got the Torah only session. And 10 o'clock, Tanakh only session with Con Drop. And 11 o'clock, we got Tribe Up Music, man. We're going to be flowing and, allowing ourselves to enjoy the vibration, as we go into our Shabbat with great music and vibration, man. Tribe Up Music is the best. It's the best you're going to get with the tribe and the vibe all in one time, man. We all happening right here. And then Saturday, we flowing, man. We got the Tanakh Torah replays coming in at 6 o'clock on Saturday. And then we got the super heavyweight Soul Glow, man, with Five Eyes My Jigga with the J crossed out, man. What it do? Zion Meditation at 8. 9 o'clock, man, we got the drop strain 432 hertz going all the way into the 11 o'clock where we pop off the Shabbat show. Where we at 3.0? 3.0. We out of here having a good time. So check the list. And yeah, if you want to get that Coronado flow, tune in on Sundays, 10 o'clock Pacific. Hey, that's how we do it at 432 The Drop Radio. Who are these citizens, man? And what's Mendoza's original plan? It's getting real interesting as we dig on these cities of gold. Because, Coronado, that's all they about, man. They looking for the cities, man. They searching. They searching. They act like they didn't find nothing. Do y'all believe it? Cities of gold. Hey, let's get some quick drop before we get into Esteban the Moor de Dorantes. Azamore Esteban, born Mustafa Zamore around 1501, was a Berber in the coastal city of Azamor in Morocco. And he led them all the way to Hawiku. He led them all the way to you. I'm talking Esteban the Moor. Yeah, I mean, he's the one in the cartoon rocking with Mendoza. So this cartoon got a lot of drop, a lot of truth, Dodger on hijack, you know what I'm saying? And just know that Esteban's a grown-ass Naga, man. This nigga right here led him right to the Nagas. Let's just put it like that. Let's make it clear. This nigga with the baby fro with the feather in the back is a Moor from Morocco who led him directly to you. People often cite Coronado as being the first explorer to make contact with the inhabitants of New Mexico. Actually, the man who first interacted with the indigenous Naga population was Esteban de Dorantes, a Moorish slave from Portugal. Stop it. The Portuguese been looking for the Prester. For over 500 years, the Portuguese looking. Moorish. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of this, man. There's a lot of hijack to dodge, man, when you really start getting into it. And this, yeah, we'll get back in this Marvel. It's just so much, going on with this Marvel and this flow that we've been digging on that connects to this Estebanico flow is crazy, man. So just know we're talking Mustafa, and we know we're talking Coronado. And you see the correlation between Coronado and Mustafa and Esteban. And they're going to make him, look like this, little kid, little child, just helpless little child in the city's gold. He's just trying to help Zia. He's the child of the sun, man. And we said, why is Esteban venerated? It's because he's the sun god. He's the child of the sun god. And what I mean venerated, all you got to do is just San Esteban. Yeah. San Esteban, San Esteban, San Esteban, San Esteban Church. St. Stephen Martyr Catholic Church. We are a diverse faith that strives to conform ourselves into the image of JC. That's crazy because I think Stephen, the child of the sun, I mean, why do you go to church on the Sunday? Sun God, he is their anointed, right? Their Christ just means anointed. And he's venerated. Look at all these churches. St. Stephen Catholic Church, St. Stephen Martyr Catholic Church, St. Stephen Baptist. Should I keep going? Come on, man. Come on, man. Episcopal churches and Lutheran churches and Baptist churches and St. Stephen, St. Stephen, St. Stephen, St. Stephen. Why, Stephen, are you venerated? Because you are the one to make first contact. Just like Star Trek. We're making first contact with these indigenous, and we're going to make them neutral. We're going to use neutrality to slay Blue Marvel. We're going to use the neutral look because he'll get us in. He'll get us in. Mustafa will get us in. Why'd they make the Lion King name Mustafa? Because they're venerating Esteban, man. I said this is their Christ. You know how we know this is their JC, man? Saint Stephen Day, man. Hey, let's go back. Let's go back. Come on, man. Come on, man. When's JC's birthday? They say December 25th. Christmas. While they're doing that, my noggin, you know the day after Christmas, it's always popping off, right? St. Stephen's Day, also called Feast of St. Stephen, is a Christian saint day to commemorate St. Stephen, the first Christian martyr. How is he a Christian martyr and a Moor? We're talking the Coronado expeditions, cutting through Mexico, right? Slicing and dicing through the indigenous populations everywhere. Texas, everywhere. Esteban the Moor is the first Christian martyr, which lets us know that it's the same power, whether you're talking sun god over here or sun god over there. They couldn't have been fighting each other while they're both looking for Preston, man. That's just the cover story. Those are the layers. Peel back the layers, they're on the same team. The Moor is the martyr. God is their Christ. You popping off Christmas for Esteban, for St. Stephen's Day, man. And they're venerating Stephen in all their churches, man. You think it's play? This martyr is a nigga. This martyr is a nigga. Rocking the Coronado, man. Let's get some of this drop, man. Fair use in your caboose bone. Let's gonna get in the classroom of one of these good history channels here that actually have some good clues for us to dig on. You know what I mean? I can dig it. We can dig it. You can dig it. Yeah, man. We can dig it, man. Fair use in your caboose bone. Copyright. Disclaimer. Yada, yada, yada. Hold up, man. Come on, man. Stop playing, man. I always want to be on that play, man. Fair use, man. But I ain't going to take away our ability to fair use them. I got to find a new fair use. Goodness gracious. Come on, man. We're going to do some criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and recon. Let go. Copyright 107. Into the American Southwest. The Coronado Expedition, Part 1. All right, let's just surf the wave in this, man. Love to historical context. We appreciate you. Matter of fact, I'm going to get in your classroom right now. Yeah. All right. De Soto was not the only explorer who was intrigued by Cabeza de Vaca's travel. Francisco de Coronado was interested in the American Southwest based on Cabeza de Vaca's travels. Before forming an expedition, he sent his friar and Moroccan to explore the area. Man, let's just get it, man. Oh, boy. The martyr, right?
Welcome back to Historical Context. Today we continue our 16th century explorers unit, and today we're looking at the Coronado expedition. Today will be the first in 2 episodes covering the expedition. The expedition is named after Francisco Vasquez de Coronado, who was born to a noble family in western Spain in 1510.
Man, he's a spat. He's probably a Naga too.
At the age of 25, Coronado traveled to the New World along with the first viceroy of New Spain. So this was a new office that was created, and Coronado was part of the group that came over with him. He was named governor of New Galicia, which is in modern-day west central Mexico.
Bang.
Like De Soto, Coronado had heard of Cabeza de Vaca's journey and became interested in the area now known as New Mexico, Texas, and Arizona. In 1539, he sent a friar and a man named Esteban. And Esteban was the Moroccan, if you'll recall, who survived the Narvaez expedition. So he was one of 4 survivors of the Narvaez expedition, and he was sent with a friar to explore the area that is today known as New Mexico. Disappointingly, the friar ends up returning alone and claims that Esteban was killed, although the friar never saw the murder because Esteban was with a group of natives traveling ahead of the friar. So his death was considered by some historians to be suspicious, although it appears as if Esteban was actually killed. The friar then goes on to say that the city where Esteban was murdered had vast wealth and was called Cibola, Cibola, Cibola. The friar did not enter the city, but he viewed it from a distance on a hill and said that it appeared to be the size of Mexico City. So once again, just like with Juan Ortiz, somebody who survives a long ordeal goes into a second journey or expedition and does not survive. In this case, Esteban does not survive the second journey into the American Southwest. But the friar's description of the area, and especially of Cibola, piques Coronado's interest, and he ends up putting together an expedition comprising of 300 men and 800 natives. The writing I'm using to tell this story.
Damn. Imagine if them 800 natives didn't help these motherfuckers, man. They didn't have numbers like that. They used who was already here to turn on the chosen ones. More on more war. Moroccan, right?
Story was written by Pedro de Castaneda de Najera, who was a part of the expedition. The expedition leaves from central Mexico and heads north in February of 1540. In March, the army master was killed in an ambush attack by natives while looking for food. So the area at the time, while it has had a lot of Spanish traffic, was still very dangerous and very contentious. The expedition, in response to the army master's death, hanged any natives they believe may have been from the same village as the attackers.
Nagas hung from a tree. Crucified, just like JC in the book of Acts, hung from a tree, not on the cross. Hung from a tree, it says in the book of Acts. Yeah. So he's representing all of us. Firstborn is Israel. And these Israelites are getting hung from a tree. Oh, man. To all my Nagas that just got that episode 3 of American Holocaust live at 432 Drop Radio. This is what we digging on. that these are the Israelites and they're hanging Israel.
So they broadened the punishment brush on that attack. And at about the same time that this expedition was getting going and moving up Mexico, a trial was starting in Spain over whether or not an expedition had a legal right to explore the region. And the only reason I know this is because there was a footnote in the writings about it. The person who translated the writings to English, and they did this long ago, had made a footnote of this. Now, I did some searching and could not find any mention of this trial. Again, it would have occurred in March or April of 1540, and it would have occurred in Spain. The group arrives at a town called Culiacan on Easter Sunday, and they have to use artillery to hold the natives back. This is the first time in all the writings I've done up to this point where we see the mention of land artillery being used. In this situation where they were using the artillery to keep natives back, one artilleryman lost a hand because he ordered the gun to be fired before clearing his hand of the ramrod. So that's the stick that fills the gunpowder and packs the cannonball into the cannon. He ordered it fired and hadn't cleared his hand yet. So there was one injury. Interesting note here in the writing. Let's have a look. After the town was taken, the army was well lodged and entertained by the townspeople, who, as they were all very well-to-do people.
Come on, man. Who are these citizens entertaining the townspeople? Who are these citizens or townspeople entertaining these hijacks? It must be, other hijacked tribes who, as they were all very well-to-do, it's a more on more war.
So I just find it interesting there that all of a sudden, they're out there firing artillery, they're fighting to take the town, and then after the town gets taken, they just are essentially invited in, well lodged, entertained, and they describe the townspeople as well-to-do.
Wow.
Which, again, is just, it's fascinating. So we're fighting at 1 hour, and then in another hour, we're all friends again.
No. You're fighting the Chickamauga, right? You're fighting Israel, and then you start celebrating with a bunch of hijacked tribes that were Confederate against Israel, and they're entertaining because they're popping off in joy at our death. We wouldn't be entertaining you, fool, if you done killed our mama and killed our priest and killed our daddies, and we wouldn't be entertaining you. Not you, He got nothing to do with it. This is more and more. We wouldn't be entertaining these hijacks. They were getting entertained and food and provisions from the hijack, turncoat, treacherous, traitor tribes, turning on their own brothers, letting the hijack in the front door. Damn.
The town had already been under Spanish control for 9 years, but there must have been some sort of absence of authority in order for all of this to happen because, and then that's not mentioned in the writing, but for you to control a town for 9 years and have to fire your way into it shows that there must have been some absence of Spanish authority there.
You was getting your ass kicked. Not you, but because they was getting their ass kicked. And the ReKhanStruction Pak, we got that out of Texas. Them niggas pushed the Spaniards out of Texas. They had to retreat back to the boats. It wasn't no hunky-dory for these fools. They didn't just have control. We kept pushing the line on these fools.
Coronado does go on to name a captain for the town, again highlighting that theory, and the expedition leaves and they head north. They finally get up to where the Arizona-New Mexico border is. They're along that area. And they finally arrive to the town of Cibola. This is their original destination. And they get there, and the town is supposed to be full of riches. The friar is with them. The friar has come back with them. And so did they find what the friar was talking about? When they saw the first village, which was Cibola, such were the curses that some hurled at Friar Marcos, that I pray God may protect him from them. It is a little crowded village, looking as if it had been crumpled up altogether. So Friar Marcos was wrong. And the men of the expedition,
No, you just didn't find the cities of gold.
Were not happy about what they found at Cibola. Nahara goes on to describe the reception of the natives to the expedition. Let's have a look. When they refused to have peace on the terms the interpreters extended to them, but appeared defiant, the Santiago, which is the war cry, was given, and they were at once put to flight.
Wow.
During the attack, they knocked the general down with a large stone and would have killed him, but for Don Garcia Lopez de Cardenas and Hernando de Alvarado, who threw themselves above him and drew him away, receiving the blows of the stones. So Coronado is saved by two of his men from serious injury, possibly death. And the writer goes on to say that the expedition leaves its weakest men behind in the village and continues onward.
Here's the thing, my noggin. They tell you you're on a boat, you come from Africa off a boat. But there ain't no African war that popped off when they was kidnapping a bunch of you Africans and putting you on boats. There wasn't no 100-year war in Africa against all these, hijacks that are, stealing their people and throwing them on boats. There's no recordation of no war to connect these indigenous Nagas. They make us look like suckers just hopping on a boat freely. We already know that they was jacking, these Israelite tribes that are in Africa. We get that. But there was no, continent war of black powerness displayed. Nah, man. The war and the fighting back is what you're hearing about right here, man. From the Chickamauga War all the way back to the 1500s, man. As soon as they got here, it was war. It was popping. It was all the way up, man. They had to get help from other Naga tribes. You've been fighting the whole time. You didn't have time to be no slave. You've been fighting in wars on the front line. What do you mean you was a slave? This is a narrative to make you feel weak. Like you ain't no fighter, like you ain't no scrapper, man. Like you ain't no stepper for your tribe, right? You want to be a stepper in the streets? Be a stepper for your tribe. Or we ain't shit, man. We gotta be steppers like they were steppers, man. Not for the block. Not for your set. For Nagaville. They make us think we just some punks that got on a boat and came off and call me Toby. Don't call me Kunta. Man, come on, man. You're hearing about it. We reading about it. The Chickamauga Wars lasted over 150 years, man. And then before that, you got the ReKhanStruction Pak already popping off throughout Texas. This is what they fighting against. This encroachment. Coronado. The more and more war.
From this point, the writing starts to talk about stories of tall natives who were at least a foot taller than members of the expedition. They discover from talking with natives that 3 days travel west of them, other Europeans had been sighted, and they go west to find the Europeans, a small group does, and discovers the word Alarcon carved in a tree with letters buried at the base of the tree. Essentially, what the letters describe is a man named Alarcon and an expedition that sailed up the Gulf of California. But he decided to turn back when he realized that the Baja of California was not an island. So he got all the way up to pretty much the top of the Gulf of California, and realizing that the only way back was down, he left. But he buried those letters and carved his name into a tree. So the Coronado expedition knew that Europeans were there, but had missed them and had known from the letters that they had turned around and left.
Pause. Alarcon. Where do we see that? Okay. Alarcon, right? So this is the expedition by sea under Alarcon. That we got. The sea expedition to cooperate with land force was a part of Mendoza's original plan after the Viceroy left Coronado, and probably while he was at Colima on his way down the coast of Compostela, he completed the arrangements by appointing Hernando de Alarcon his chamberlain, according to Bernal Diaz, which they say Alarcon was instructed to sail northward, following the coast as closely as possible. He's talking about Baja California and all that. Acapulco. This is all a part of Mendoza's plan, man. So we about to get the cartoon, and when they keep talking Mendoza's the one that appointed Alarcon, man. Let's go.
This is interesting because I have to assume Alarcon and his men did not stay in the region very long, yet word was still able to travel 3 days east and get to Coronado, describing the existence of other Europeans. So again, that verbal, I guess I would even call it a primitive telecommunications style from the natives, being able to push information out broadly amongst other tribes, seems to be present at this point. The expedition is on what I would consider the very southern part of the United States, near the Mexico-U.S. border. When they come to a river and they have to torture a native, when they come to this river, they torture a native in order to get the native to admit that an attack is being planned. Now, the expedition does not change its behavior here other than to be extra cautious. But they continue along, and another observation is made. Let's have a look. In a province called Vacapon, there was a large quantity of prickly pears, of which the natives made a great deal of preserves. They gave this preserve away freely, and as the men of the army ate much of it, they all fell sick with a headache and fever.
Damn. Hey, these Nagas was hitting up the hijack in every way possible. They gave them prickly pears, they gave them arrows. They was on their ass, man.
Prickly pears. If I had to guess, Coronado was referring to some type of cactus. And with an attack apparently being planned, you would not want a situation like this to come upon you. But the expedition continues to move on, and they get hit by a weather phenomenon that the writer refers to as a cold tornado, where it snows, and the natives that are on the expedition become so sick that they have to be carried by horseback. Potentially, it could be a blizzard. That part.
Remember, it's an ice age, little ice age. Look it up. They're hitting the coldest temperatures America has ever seen in the last 1,000 years when they got here. They was in a plague, boss.
Part of the country does have some bad snowstorms, and they end up going back to Cibola, which is, again, a little further to the west, and a group of the expedition, a subgroup, if you will, separates out to explore the area. As they're doing this, they're visiting new native villages, and they discover, just like with the expedition up the Gulf of Mexico, the word is out about their presence in the area. But the rumor, and this goes back to the game, kind of like the game of telephone. You tell somebody, you tell somebody, you tell somebody, and the story gets a little more distorted. The rumor that these natives are hearing is that the new invaders have entered the area riding on animals that eat people. And of course, the animals that they're referring to are horses. One village of natives took the threat so seriously that a native struck a horse with a club, and the village was attacked as a result. The writer mentions at this village the governing structure, in that it is governed by the 10 oldest men in the community. Now, this is a major difference from the observations of Cabeza de Vaca, who was virtually in the same area, although he was maybe a little bit south. Cabeza de Vaca talked about how the oldest of the natives were left to die, and they were essentially, their status declined as they aged. But in this case, they're governing the village. So I just want to point that difference out for those of you who listen to our Cabeza de Vaca section. While this group is out visiting, you have the main expedition still in Cibola. Natives begin showing up to Cibola to offer their friendship to Coronado and the expedition. They go on to describe cows, which turn out to be buffalo. Captain Alvarado leads another special group out to find these buffalo. Alvarado ends up in a village called Acoma, which is in the western part of New Mexico. The village is carved up on a mountain with only one stairway to enter. The inhabitants of this village were described as robbers. So these were people that apparently went and robbed other villages to make their way of life. And these people exited the town ready to fight Captain Alvarado and his men.
Yeah, they're robbers, huh? Like Joshua the robber. Huh? More and more war, right? Yeah, they're robbers, huh? Like they call us savages, huh? They always gotta, first downgrade you to something that they can give us excuse for their violence. They gotta, first, try to, bring down your character, call you a savage, call you a robber, like the Moorish call Joshua, Hawashua. Oh, he's taking our land. Nah, he's restoring the land for Hawaii, getting the hijack off with your false idols and false no gods.
Let's have a look at the writing. They drew lines on the ground and determined to prevent our men from crossing these. Well, that sounds kind of childish.
Oh, really?
But when they saw that they would have to fight, they offered to make peace before any harm had been done. They went through their forms of making peace, which is to touch the horses and take their sweat and rub themselves with it. Okay, that is an interesting way to make peace. From here, they go to a village on the Rio Grande River, and this village is in northeastern New Mexico. The natives come out of the town and greet the expedition with joy, playing drums and flutes. And I want to note, as I say this now, this is now the entire expedition. So those two small groups have come back, and the entire expedition has now moved on to this village. Here they visit with a native slave who says he's from the country toward Florida. And this I find very fascinating because we all know what's going on in Florida at the time, or at least we do if we've been listening to this podcast. And I'm curious as to how somebody was able to deduce where Florida was. Maybe they used direction and that's how they got to it, but this guy says that essentially he's from the country east of Texas, out in areas where DeSoto had been traveling. And this native says that there are larger settlements in his part of the country. So Alvarado takes the slave as a guide. This native guide, and he's going to become an important part of the story of the expedition, receives the nickname Turk because he looked like a Turkish individual.
Interesting.
The villagers in the next town tell the expedition of populated places to the north. So now they're getting, close to Oklahoma.
Just remember, the Turks are the Moors. They'll even tell you that, right? Same crescent moon, right? The Turks are the Moors. Go back and get that General Monk drop. You know what I'm saying? So if he's looking like a Turk, he's also swarthy Lego.
Kansas area, roughly. The villagers are saying there are more populated places to the north. But Alvarado was drawn in by Turks' stories of gold and wealth that existed to the east. So they decided to head east. Meanwhile, further back, the main expedition, which has Coronado and his men, arrive at the Rio Grande River per information that was passed back to him from Alvarado. So Alvarado encourages Coronado to come up to the village that he had gone to. Coronado goes on to continue east and reunite with Alvarado and meet this native called Turk, who tells stories of large canoes with gold bells and says the natives who captured him, so remember when they met him, he was a captured native in another village.
So this Moor got captured in the Moor War.
He said the natives who captured him confiscated his gold bracelets. Well, obviously, that's going to set off alarm bells in the heads of Coronado and his men looking for gold. So Coronado sends Alvarado back to the village where they got Turk to get his bracelets. And the natives tell Alvarado that they don't know what he's talking about. And they even go so far as to tell Alvarado that he was being deceived by this man that they named Turk. And so it's just a bizarre series of events, and you can start to see sides forming in all of this. And Alvarado ends up taking the two leaders of the village in chains, which got the villagers all riled up. Let's take a look at the writing. This began the want of confidence in the word of the Spaniards whenever there was talk of peace from this time on, as will be seen by what happened afterward. So clearly this incident causes the Spanish to lose credibility in the eyes of the natives. They're listening to this man named Turk, who was a captive of these natives and clearly has an axe to grind with them. So he could be misleading the Spanish about what's going on. But the relationship is breaking down. So what happens next?
Hey, we about to find out, man. Let's get this quick clip in. Part number 2. I mean, this Turk, who is this Turk? He sounds like somebody else also called Turk in Lost Tribes and Promised Lands by Ronald Sanders, man. We got to dig on it. Let's go.
Historical context where today we conclude the Coronado expedition. And if you missed last week's episode, I suggest you go back, take a listen or watch if you're on our YouTube channel. And today we're going to start where we left off last week, and that is where the expedition, listening to a native named Turk, takes 2 native leaders of a village in chains and upsets this village in New Mexico. And now trust between the natives and the Spanish is beginning to erode. And at the same time, winter is beginning in the area, and we're now in late 1540, getting ready to go to 1541. The writer notes that the snow was dry and heavy. And he also goes on to add that the snowfall at night actually insulated the men while they were sleeping versus making them cold. The expedition returns to the native town on the Rio Grande, and they find it in revolt. Natives were asked to provide 300 sets of clothing to the expedition without the ability to consult with their governance structure.
Damn. 300 sets of clothing. So these people needed everything.
On top of that, you had the obvious situation of taking the leadership, 2 members of the leadership in chains. In another incident, a native accused a member of the expedition of violating his wife, but was unable to identify him when Coronado personally inquired into the situation. The day after all of this madness, if you will, a native who was in charge of guarding the horses ran to the encampment and said that his companion, a second native, had been killed and many of the horses had been stolen. Now, if you recall from last week's episode, the natives did not think very highly of the horses. So it's highly unlikely that they were going to assimilate these horses into Native American culture. But if this is the case, it would be the first known documented occurrence of it. Coronado's...
Hey, cut it, man. Nagas Ben had the horses, and they were only tripping on those horses because of their reports of these animals that these conquistadors were riding on that were eating people. Now, he assumes, based on conjecture, that it must be horses, but we also got jackals, man, and big-ass dogs. Remember all the dog and the war dogs? So, yeah, don't put it on the horses, man. Stop tripping. Let's go.
Sent someone to the native villages to talk with them and found the village fortified and the natives ready for battle. I want people to keep in mind here that there were multiple villages scattered around this area. Cibola was actually technically 4 or 6 villages. So Coronado, what he did was he surrounded one of the towns, and after a day and a half of fighting was able to get peace, but the other towns in the area looked way too fortified for the expedition to take.
And look how they just throw the word peace out. Oh, they got peace after all that fighting. Stop it, man. That's not peace. To the hijack, that's peace. But their peace ain't your peace.
Sadly, in all of the confusion of this peace agreement was not reached with Coronado directly. It was reached with the men who were fighting. And Coronado, not knowing about this, ordered some of these native men burned to death. And so again, not a very good reputation for the Spanish in the southwestern United States. Now, as winter continued, Coronado ordered his men to go around the villages and offer peace. In the town by the Rio Grande, a native pretended to support peace, but he only ended up assaulting an officer of Coronado's. And Coronado responded by surrounding the town and sieging it for 50 days. And in that siege, 100 men of the expedition were seriously wounded, most of which later died. At one point during the siege, the native village had trouble obtaining water, and the men in this village wanted to release the women and children so that the women and children would not be harmed. They did this and were asked by the Spanish then to surrender, and they refused to do that. After 15 days of negotiating, Coronado went to leave. He was going to withdraw when the natives emerged from the town and attacked the expedition. One Spaniard was killed in the fight, and the natives that were not killed jumped into the frigid river to escape. Those that did survive and surrendered to the Spanish were taken and made into servants as part of the expedition. So again, another sad outcome for the natives there in the southwestern United States. The writing goes on to mention several, I guess, obscure events to occur as the expedition continued. Another large village ends up being captured by another small group of the expedition. There's another attack where 17 members of the expedition are killed when they're wounded with poison-tipped arrows. That's the first time in the writings I've seen that kind of weapon used, poison-tipped arrows. Meanwhile, the native named Turk remained in custody with the expedition, and he begins talking of a town to the east that has wealth, and he calls it Quivera. So Coronado starts heading.
Remember, Quivera is Quivera, either with a Q or a K, and the Quivera is also Hibera or Hibaru or Ibera. Quivera, all on the maps with the anion, are kingdoms, not little villages like the hijack likes to paint the picture. They're rolling up on kingdoms in the more and more war. Quivera is Iberia, is Iber, Heber, Kiber, the Ibaru.
In that direction, and first he stops at a town called Picos, which is east of the Rio Grande River, and they were able to cross the Rio Grande because the river was frozen over. So the horses that they were riding on were able to walk on top of the ice and cross the Rio Grande River. Coronado and the expedition continued east. And at this time, another native that's in the expedition, a servant, who is from the town of Quivera, alleges that the Turk, or the guy named Turk, was lying, but the expedition did not believe him. And in fact, they treated him very poorly because of this, and he took a lot of abuse from the other Spanish. They came to a village where the women there had clothing skins, and the expedition greatly upsets these women by confiscating all of the clothing skins. And there's a mention of it in the writing. Let's have a look. The women and some others were left crying because they thought that the strangers were not going to take anything. but would bless them as Cabeza de Vaca and Dorantes had done when they passed through here. It goes on to say they found an Indian girl here who was as white as a Castilian lady, except that she had her chin painted like a Moorish.
Shout out to the bro Uno. Hey, Uno on the beats, what he do, man? He dropped a great book called White Slaves. Yeah. See, a lot of these so-called whites were slaves in Spain, and those are the ones they put, on these boats to come on over here. We done talked about what the Marvel calls the Inhumans, engineered, genetically engineered, and sent as super soldiers. You know what I'm saying? Either way, if she has her chin painted like a Moorish woman, she could have been one of those white slaves. You know what I'm saying?
Woman.
This is getting too good. Let's get a few more minutes. We're going to dismount like we like to do, man, with this cartoon cities of go.
So an interesting observation there of what appeared to be a European-looking woman, but also the fact that the women had remembered Cabeza de Vaca. And this group, the expedition, is now in northern Texas, which is a little fascinating because they're actually a little further north than what is thought to have been Cabeza de Vaca's territory. But we also know from Cabeza de Vaca's writings that these natives tend to move around a little bit. So this group that's in northern Texas right now might have been further south when they encountered him. So they're in northern Texas, and they're in a village, and a new guide comes along and tells them that Quivira is to the north, not to the east. And this is the first time the expedition begins to question and distrust the native named Turk. With supplies running low, Coronado decides that the main army needs to go back to the village on the Rio Grande, and he is going to continue Coronado to Quivira with about 30 horsemen. And 48 days later, Coronado and his 30 horsemen reach Quivira. And Quivira is believed to be in central Kansas, but a little more towards the northeastern part of Kansas. And it's hard because the descriptions cannot be totally verified.
Which is crazy because on the maps it's on the West Coast, so-called West Coast. You know what I'm saying? So, where's Quivira?
To figure out where Coronado had reached, the guides that were with Coronado, the native guides, helped the expedition to be received by the natives in Quivira in a very friendly manner. The native named Turk, who was still with the group, was asked why he had lied, and he stated that his native village was in the general direction of where they were headed, which was east, not north. And Turk says he was asked by his original captors to lead the expedition off to starvation. Now, at this point, we no longer hear of the native named Turk, and we don't know what ended up happening to him, but one can only imagine. Coronado, disappointed by what he finds at Quivira, which is not very much, returns back to the town over by the Rio Grande, which he is united with the rest of his men. And it is now October of 1541. And at some point during Coronado's trip into Kansas and subsequent return, DeSoto, who we talked about earlier, may have only been a couple hundred miles away. That's hard to believe. There isn't any native reference of one group talking about the other necessarily outside of the individuals that seemed to have misled through the journey. But it's important to note that Coronado and DeSoto, between the two of them, really covered a vast section of the southern United States and came within a couple hundred miles of each other. A subordinate of Coronado's named Cardenas would end up leading a small group west into Arizona, and they would become the first Europeans to lay eyes on the Grand Canyon. And the Grand Canyon becomes the discovery that this expedition is known for because it's so popular in our culture today. But it was something that Coronado himself did not lay his eyes upon. It was just a few members of his expedition. And it was something that I'm sure they were shocked of at the time, but in the writing, it was rather insignificant. Coronado may have stayed in the region longer, and he may have ended up going on to settle a colony. But in December of 1541, he fell from his horse and ends up seriously injured. So the expedition, as a result of this, returns to Mexico in 1542. And Coronado, for his actions, ends up facing war crimes based on his behavior. So his actions and his decisions were not hidden. And his actions and his decisions were not common or acceptable practice amongst the Spaniards. It's important.
Shit. They just, are doing this as a show of novelty. This is what they do. It's a moral war. This is what they known
for people to know that. Burning natives to death, arresting them, killing some of them.
Yeah, that's how hijacks function. Yeah, that's normal.
Was not seen as an acceptable practice. And so he faced war crimes for his actions.
But listen to what happened next.
He was acquitted.
It's not acceptable. I got to back that up. It's not acceptable, but
of them was not seen as an acceptable practice. And so he faced war crimes for his actions. He was acquitted.
That means he was let go free of charge. So I guess the whole jury and panel, whatever, decided it was acceptable.
Of the charges. But his subordinate Cardenas, who was the man who led the group to the Grand Canyon, was found guilty.
So they had to put it on somebody. I mean, somebody got to take the fall.
And sentenced to jail. Unlike previous expedition leaders.
And that's jail, not death. After all that death, he gets put in jail. He's probably living it up, right?
Coronado took on a heavy out-of-pocket cost to engage in this expedition. And he started off wealthier than most of the people we've studied in this unit. But his out-of-pocket costs and his disappointing findings end up forcing him into bankruptcy. And he dies in 1554, 12 years after returning, in Mexico City. Coronado's failure centered around his trust of that friar, which turned out to be wrong, and his trust of the captive native named Turk, both of whom embellished their stories. Nearly 4 decades after the expedition, in 1581, the Chamuscado and Rodriguez expedition would venture into the same territory. And so for 40 years, there was this gap of a lack of a Spanish presence in the southwestern United States. So 40 years later, this expedition would return. And it would be expected that Coronado's destructive behavior would have done something, but in fact, it had little impact on the culture of the natives in the area. But this new expedition noted something.
Hijack City. All that killing and death had little impact on the natives. And come on, man, they didn't forget. They didn't discount. It affected them heavily. These are their families, their mothers, their sisters, their daughters. Oh, it had little impact. They just kept going. The hijack, when they dig on history, man, they just can't see past two dimensions, man. They just see black and white, man. They just can't see clearly.
A little different, and it wasn't in the writing of the Coronado expedition. They noted a large number of light-skinned and light-haired natives.
Oh, here we go.
The origins of which are greatly unknown, but obviously lead to the speculation that some assimilation may have occurred. So the Coronado expedition was a large failure. It actually ends up being a deterrent for future Spanish expeditions into the area because it's seen as a poor area with not a lot of riches. And the Spanish government has its own battles to fight in the 16th century, namely the Reformation. But before we conclude the expedition unit, I have one more episode covering one more new area of the lower 40.
So, Managa, do you think they just didn't find it, or you think it's a cover story? You know, if they did find something, would they really promote it and put it out there? Because then people are looking for it, and they want to see the remnants and the relics and all that of the cities of gold. And maybe it's a cover story where they just say, you know what, no, we didn't find anything. We didn't find anything, balls. But there's a lot of drop, from this that we can get the babies out the bathwater. So for that, Ahab to historical context, man. They're bringing up the Moroccans. So let's see what the cartoon. Let's see if we get any babies out the cartoon digging on Esteban, Saint Stephen. And again, man, get the previous drops, but is this the same Stephen the Christ? Child of the Sun? Saint Stephen. They even have a Saint Stephen in the 200 ADs, 3rd century, who was supposed to be, connecting with this Saint Christopher, the dog-headed. Remember that? Saint Christopher was known to have carried a Christ child across the river, across the sea. So he's known as the patron saint of travelers, same as Christopher Colombo would be called. Columbus Day, Managa, they found you, right? 1492. This is leading to all this. So they're venerating Christopher Columbus. He is Saint Christopher, the doghead, who carried Saint Stephen or Esteban as a child or as a grown-ass man across the water at some point. And if he's popping off in 1492 and Esteban is born around 1501. So he would have been a young child if he's carried by Christopher Columbus or Saint Christopher, even if they put it 1,300 years ago. Remember, Anatoly Fomenko, 3 major chronological time shifts. You got 1,100 years, you got 300 years, you got 1,800 years, so 1,300 year shift is well in the ballpark of Scaliger and Batavia's bullshit chronology, man. They're carving all through our cities. And this is just a side note drop, man. Just everybody surfing the wave on IG. We got a lot of Nagas dropping some drop on IG. So Ahab to all y'all, man. And, we have a good time, man. Just sharpening up with my Nagas over here on IG, man. I really appreciate so much of this drop popping off in real time, in battle time. We just shared this drop. They love the comp fresh, man. What it do, man? We just shared this drop having to do with these maps and, real crazy, man. Real crazy. And we watching that show, The Orville, man. Just get the drop on IG. It's happening, man. Yeah, the more you know, man. They remixed the whole turf. So, These interstate highways, man, love to historical indigenous sites. These interstate highways and roads in what is now known as the United States of America used to be at one time black or copper-colored Naga trails and pathways. Did you know that all these highways used to be Naga trails and pathways? Naga towns, Naga cities. The paths were widened and laced with concrete and renamed as interstate highways by the Pale One. Damn. So next time you're on the highway, man, just remember, man, that was a Naga pathway. And on that, let's take it to the cities of gold. I'm belly flopping. Where we at? Let's belly flop into episode 4. I want to go back. You know what I mean? It's just so much drop, especially in the beginning of the series. So I think this is before they reached America, but let's just see if we can dig on this, man. Hey, shout out to Tau or St. Thomas. You dig? Let's go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Fair use in your
It is the
caboose.
16th century. From all over Europe, great ships sail west to conquer the New World, the Americas. The men eager to seek their fortune, to find new adventures in new lands. They long to cross uncharted seas and discover unknown countries, to find secret gold on a mountain trail high in the Andes. They dream of following the path of the setting sun that leads to El Dorado and the mysterious cities of gold.
Let go. Cities of gold. Cities of gold. Cities of gold. Let go. Cities of gold. Ooh, that's pretty.
Buffeted by a fierce wind and a wild sea, the Esperanza managed to sail through the Straits of Magellan under Mendoza's guidance. But now the ship faces another trial of strength. It is in the grip of a hurricane.
Uh-oh.
The hurricane pulls us towards it. We can't get away. All we can do is tie ourselves down and hope to survive.
Esteban! What's that all about?
So now this is Esteban. God, but you know what Esteban looked like. During these voyages, he's a grown-ass Naga man and a grown-ass nigga. Grown-ass nigga with a fro. Let's go.
What are they all doing up there?
That's fine, Sancho. Now go and lash yourself down.
How's that? Is it all right, Captain Perez?
Not so tight, you ruffian. You'll strangle me.
Oh, if your skin's so soft, maybe you better tie yourself up.
Insolent scoundrel. You make fun of me. I order you to tie me securely.
Make up your mind.
You lout, I can't breathe.
You never seem to know
You're
what you
hurting
want.
me.
Yeah, they got that red flag, man. Look like that Moorish flag, man. It's a more and more war, man.
Madre mia, help, I'm flying, I'm flying. Oh, my head.
This time it really is the end of the world!
We're sinking! All hands on deck!
Zia, are you hurt? I don't feel good. My head's spinning around. What happened? I don't understand. A little while ago, it felt like the ship was flying.
Damn, can't get free of this cursed rope. It's too tight.
Sancho, Pedro, is everything all right?
Just
Take the wheel, Captain.
Take the wheel, take the wheel. A fine idea that is. First, perhaps I should find a way to untie myself. Oh, there we are. Are you quite sure, Mendoza, that you want me to take the wheel?
Yes, Captain Perez. If you want all aboard to come through, the safe and sound. Pedro, Sancho, I'll need your help. Follow me.
lots of luck, Captain.
Oh, that's right. Leave me here all alone. I'm the only one aboard this ship who's worth his salt.
Hey, Mendoza, where you going?
I'm going below. I have to free Zia and Esteban. They're prisoners down in the hold. You two stay here and wait for me. You'll pull us all up again.
Right.
Mendoza, you're mad. The water's sloshing around everywhere down here.
Ah! The ship's gonna sink! Help! Let us out! Help!
At your stations, lower the lifeboats.
Get a move on, you good-for-nothings.
Captain Gaspar, go and bring Zia up from the hold. I need her. I know that you are aware that I've been ordered to deliver her to Governor Pizarro.
Yes, certainly, of course. We'll all need her if we are to find the cities of gold.
Ah!
Esteban, Zia! Hold on tight!
It's Mendoza! He's come to save us!
Stand aside. I'll try to tie down this...
So that's the same Mendoza that's popping off in the Coronado expeditions that has the chamber, Alarcon as his chamberman, and all that stuff, man. So let's go.
The water keeps rising. Come on, Mendoza! Hurry up!
Captain Gaspar, what are you doing here?
Out of my way, riffraff. I've come to get Zia.
Oh, no, closer.
Will you please hurry and get into the boat, Senor Gomez? For the love of heaven, or we'll all be sucked under when the ship goes down.
Just a minute longer. I've sent Gaspar to fetch Zia. Mendoza.
This time you'll not escape me. Just the two of us, my partner. I'll finish you once and for all.
Careful, Mendoza! He's coming up!
Curses upon you, Mendoza!
Commander Gomez, we can't wait any longer. The Esperanza is sinking. Oh, Lord, oh, what a tragedy. We've lost everything. What? Did you see Pedro? The water's up to here now.
I have broken the lock. Dive down and come out.
Hooray, they're all safe.
Abandoned ship. She'll go any second now.
Mendoza, the lifeboats are just gone.
What? Oh.
Oh, those cowards, they abandoned us here.
Oh. The ship is breaking in two. Everybody to the bow. Hurry!
Oh, look!
Esteban, I'm Stokes. Please make the sunshine.
Who, me?
We're gonna sing. Please, Esteban, please.
He's asking the Moroccan to make the sun shine. Again, child of the sun, sun god, Saint Stephen.
Help us, Esteban. You are the child of the sun.
No, you're wrong.
Have pity on us, poor shipwrecked sailors. Pity.
You're asking me to do the impossible. I'm just an ordinary boy like any other.
Is this their anointed? Is this their Christ? Why do they have churches dedicated to him? And why is he venerated on Christmas, man?
It's a miracle. The storm has died down. Look, millions of stars scattered everywhere in the sky. Oh, look, a messenger star. You mean a shooting star? No, it's a messenger star from the gods. Whenever you see a messenger star in the sky, you must make a wish. That's what my father always told me. Your father? You never talked about him, Zia. Tell me about yourself, your country, and your family. He said that I shouldn't talk about him or our people. He made me promise never to talk to anybody. Why? Well, I suppose you're not really Spanish. You're not like the others.
You're not really Spanish. You're more.
Some Somehow I feel I can always trust you. No, if your father told you not to talk to anyone, don't tell me anything either. Don't be silly, Esteban. My own country is not near the sea. It's far inland. It's called Shimon. Shimon? Shh. In my country, my father is the high priest, and it is his duty to serve the gods of our people. That means that he's something like Father Rodriguez at Barcelona with his cathedral. Yes, something like that, you mean. Esteban, promise me solemnly you'll never repeat what I told you, not to anybody. Of course, Zia. I promise never to repeat it. May the messenger star rescue us and keep us alive. That was my wish. What is that glooming up there? Mendoza, wake up!
What is it, Esteban? Why did you wake me?
Look, up on the mast!
Ah, that. It's called St. Elmo's fire.
What's that?
Sailors usually say that St. Elmo's fire is a bad omen. It is very unlucky.
Look, mist is closing in around us. What's happening to us? We're moving faster and faster.
What's that sound?
It's like a fast current under the bottom of the ship.
The ship can't take it. It'll break apart.
Quickly, we must make a raft.
What are you doing? Oh, I'm making an oar. It could be very useful.
Excellent idea, Esteban. Make one for each of us.
Aye, aye, sir.
Everything's ready, Mendoza.
Good. Everybody stand by. Here we go.
Aye, aye, sir. So long, you old tub.
It really hurts having to leave her like this.
Watch it, Nell. Hang on. I'm cutting the line. Stop.
But by the devil, not a speck of land in sight.
All we have is a little wine and some anchovies. I wonder how long we'll be able to hold out. Anyway, all those empty barrels make me very sad.
Will you please stop complaining? Do you hear Zia and Esteban complaining?
Of course, the child of the sun is made of sterner stuff.
That's right. We're delicate, we are.
They venerate this guy, right? This is crazy.
Zia, look at that funny fish. It has a triangle on its back.
A fish with a triangle on its back. Very nice. What? Oh, my shark!
Sharks!
Be careful, all of you. Hold on tight.
And you hold on to...
Are you alright?
You're gonna get it, you big sea sausage. A little closer and you get my all over your head.
Hold on.
the barrel of anchovies. Oh.
What are you thinking about? About my father. Your real father? Yes, my father who was lost in this ocean. How many days could he have held out, alone the way he was? What? Did you see something? No, I guess I was wrong. Oh! Yes, there's something.
What is it? What? Oh.
It's only a seagull.
Yes, a seagull go.
One thing is sure, if there are seagulls, it means that we're near land.
You're right. Look over there.
An island.
It certainly is an island.
Esteban.
It is an island. Esteban is right. You see, my friends, you must never give up hope. Bad luck, the current is carrying us away from it. I'll try swimming there.
Careful, Mendoza, there's a shark behind you.
Huh?
Catch it, Mendoza!
This is no time to play, Pedro. Thank heaven for bringing us to this island. Such a day for sound.
Esteban, your lord the sun hasn't abandoned you. Thanks to him, we are safe.
It's thanks to your...
You see what he just said, man? Did he say what I think he said?
Oh, this is no time to play, Pedro. Thank heaven for bringing us to this island. Such a safe and sound.
Esteban, your lord the sun hasn't abandoned you.
Your Lord, the sun, hasn't abandoned you. Sun God, child of the sun God. We'll be talking Zeus.
Thanks to him, we are safe.
It's thanks to your being such a good swimmer. The sharks couldn't get over it.
You can say that again.
Remember the Moors do it for Ham and Kush, and some say Ham is Zeus. We're just talking sun God.
Why aren't you all dancing now? Life is beautiful. We've been saved. We're going to find the cities of gold. Let's go. Come on. Come on. You're a good. Come on.
Damn.
The island that Esteban and his friends have landed on is inhabited by strange animals. Once on shore, they all fall into a deep sleep, but a mysterious creature wakens them. Don't miss the next episode of...
Hey, that's when we meet Tal, man. Hey, how y'all like cartoons now?
The Mysterious Cities of Gold.
All right, y'all, calm down. It's my favorite part for the dismount. Let's go.
If you were to roam the wide ocean like Esteban and his friends, you might also come across some strange sights. I wonder if this single-handed yachtsman, Mr. Imada of Japan, has ever seen St. Elmo's fire.
No, I haven't, but I would like to see it. Just once. It's caused by static electricity, and they say it's dangerous. St. Elmo's fire. It disturbs your compass, and you can get lost.
Man, that sounds like vortexes and dragons, and Bermuda triangles and technologies.
What are you most afraid of when you're at sea?
Being becalmed. That's the worst thing. Being in a dead flat calm. You see, when there's no wind, a boat which relies on the force of the wind on its sails is quite useless. You're powerless. You can't even hold your course. If you're caught in a current, you're entirely at its mercy. And some currents run so fast that you see an island dead ahead, and you're swept past so fast that the next moment it's behind you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
But surely there must be something you can do.
In Japan, we have a saying that if you throw a plum stone into the sea and make a wish, you'll get a wind. It's a funny thing, but when I've done that, it works.
People who don't go sailing think high winds and storms are much more dangerous.
Oh, of course, storms can be very frightening. I've been in some storms when the waves were as high as a house. And when I heard them crash against my hull, I've thought any moment that I'd be at the bottom of the sea. Sometimes, even though you know you still have the boat under control, you keep thinking any moment you'll be swamped or hit some hidden rocks and sink. If you're very frightened, that's when you really have to make an effort to keep your cool.
So if you want to survive in a storm, you have to keep your calm.
It's essential when you're at sea, never to panic.
Goodbye. Till next time.
You know, some niggas might find themselves on the sea of life, adrift on the endless sea. But, you know, that's great advice, man. Keep your calm, keep your cool, and just get through, man. I hope you enjoy the cities of go. And remember, they change your pathways to highways, man. Hijack City is active. Stay up, suit up, choose up, man. We're going to get some more of this Coronado flow and keep cracking it open, man. We got to, crack their code. We got to break their spell, by keeping our code. Hey, shalom to the tribe. Halal